human beings rarely awaken in soft ways. Growth doesn't begin with enlightenment, but with disturbance. Not the loud kind, but the inner ache that whispers, the pain that interrupts old patterns, the discomfort that exposes the questions a person avoids asking. And while no one chooses these thresholds willingly, they often become the first doorway to a deeper self. The level of conscious self. It cannot be without brushing against the parts of life hurt. People rarely notice the exact moment their inner world begins to shift. Let them rarely notice the charge of love. It doesn't arrive with thunder or clarity. It appears as a soft disturbance, a quiet pressure beneath the routines of daily life. A person may wake up feeling slightly heavier than usual, unsure why the familiar world suddenly feels misaligned. Something small changes, perhaps the way a certain memory lands, or how silence feels different, or how their own reflection starts holding questions they've avoided answering. At first, the mind interprets this as fatigue, stress, or a passing mood. But the truth is simpler and much deeper. The psyche has reached a threshold it can no longer ignore. Emotional awakening rarely begins with inspiration. It begins with tension, with the uneasy feeling that the inner self has outgrown the old story. The early signs are subtle and often dismissed. A growing restlessness that makes comfortable routines feel strangely suffocating. A quiet sense of dissatisfaction that lingers even when nothing dramatic has gone wrong. A softness around old wounds that suddenly ache again without warning. These cracks in the surface are not failures or regressions. They are signals. The unconscious trying, once again, to become conscious. But humans are conditioned to avoid discomfort. They reassure themselves, it's nothing, it will pass. And because the pain is quiet, it becomes easier to hide beneath productivity, distraction, or emotional numbness. Yet the psyche is patient. It sends gentle reminders, moments of sudden reflection, small ruptures in certainty, a truth that pushes from within, asking to be acknowledged. There is a reason awakening begins this way. Before a person confronts what hurts, they must first become aware that something inside requires attention. The initial pain is not the wound itself. It is the pressure of something long ignored finally reaching the surface. This first crack is the beginning of consciousness expanding. It marks the moment when the inner world stops cooperating with old patterns. And even though the disturbance feels unwelcome, it is the earliest sign that something deeper, truer, and long suppressed is preparing to speak. Pain does not appear without a history. Every ache, every emotional tremor, every sudden heaviness has roots that reach far beneath the surface of awareness. Long before a person feels the discomfort of awakening, their mind has been carrying experiences, beliefs, and memories that shaped how they see themselves and the world. Much of this shaping happens quietly in childhood, when the psyche is tender, absorbing everything without filters. Patterns learned for survival become identities. Expectations whispered by family or culture settle into the bones. And without realizing it, a person grows around these early imprints, building a self that feels stable, but is often incomplete. As life progresses, these unconscious structures remain active. They guide reactions, relationships, and choices, even when they no longer serve the present. The ache of awakening begins when these old patterns no longer fit the person they are becoming. But confronting this truth is difficult because the mind has spent years protecting these hidden layers. Avoidance becomes a habit. Deflection becomes a shield. A person tells themselves the pain is about the present moment, unaware that much of it echoes from earlier chapters of life. The origins of this pain lie in unmet needs, unspoken emotions, suppressed individuality, and the quiet compromises a person made to feel safe or accepted. These experiences don't disappear. They settle in the unconscious, waiting for moments when life slows enough for their whispers to be heard. When the ache intensifies, it is not punishment, it is memory. It is the self attempting to integrate all the parts that were once pushed aside. But this is where resistance grows strongest. The mind fears revisiting old wounds, believing they will reopen. Yet the pain of awakening is not the wound itself. It is the tension of holding on to what was never healed. The roots beneath the ache are not there to harm. They are there to reveal. And the moment a person senses this buried history rising into awareness, they stand at the threshold between who they were taught to be and who they are now capable of becoming. Psychology describes this phase as a convergence of cognitive dissonance, emotional overload, and the brain's natural threat responses. In simple terms, the mind is torn between what it has always believed and what it is only now beginning to understand. Cognitive dissonance is one of the core mechanisms behind this discomfort. When new awareness contradicts old patterns, the brain experiences tension. It tries to cling to familiar beliefs because they feel safe, even when they no longer align with the truth that is emerging. This internal conflict generates anxiety, confusion, and resistance, not because the person is weak, but because the brain is designed to protect stability. Alongside this, the emotional system becomes activated. The amygdala, responsible for detecting threat, interprets inner change the same way it interprets external danger. Even a healthy shift can feel frightening. The body responds with restlessness, tightness in the chest, disrupted sleep, or sudden waves of sadness. These reactions are biological, not moral. They reflect a nervous system adjusting to a new internal landscape. In psychological terms, awakening also involves confronting shadow material, the parts of the self that were suppressed, denied, or ignored. These fragments resurface during times of inner transition, not to cause suffering, but to seek integration. This process can feel overwhelming because the mind must reinterpret experiences it once avoided. And yet, beneath every emotional surge, the brain is quietly reorganizing itself. Neural pathways that supported old identities begin to weaken, while new pathways, aligned with awareness and truth, start forming. This is why awakening feels both destabilizing and strangely clarifying at the same time. The mind is restructuring. The self is evolving. Pain becomes the signal that transformation is underway. The evidence that consciousness is expanding beyond previous limitations. Psychology doesn't describe awakening as a moment of enlightenment, but as a period of inner rewiring. A natural, necessary realignment between who a person has been and who they are becoming.